Welcome to Law Crest USA, where we uncover the truth behind America's most serious crimes and the laws that define justice. Today, talking about one of the gravest offenses known to mankind, murder, and what really happens when someone takes another person's life in the United States. Murder is not just a crime. It's considered the ultimate violation of both moral and legal boundaries. In U.S. law, it is treated with the highest level of seriousness, and the punishment can range from decades in prison to the death penalty, depending on the circumstances. To truly understand murder under American law, you must know that it is classified into different degrees, each based on intent, planning, and circumstances. First-degree murder is the most severe. It involves premeditation, meaning the killer planned the act in advance, knowing exactly what they were about to do. This type of murder often results in life imprisonment, without parole, or even capital punishment, in states that allow the death penalty. Second-degree murder is still intentional, but without premeditation. The killer acted in the moment. Without long-term planning, then comes voluntary manslaughter, which occurs when someone kills another person in a sudden fit of passion or rage caused by provocation. The punishment for manslaughter is less severe, but it still leads to long prison terms because the law demands accountability even in moments of anger. There's also involuntary manslaughter, where death occurs due to reckless or negligent behavior, like drunk driving or mishandling a firearm, even though the killer didn't intend to cause death. When a murder happens, the investigation process in the US is extremely detailed and scientific. It begins the moment police arrive at the scene. They secure the area, preserve evidence, and start identifying witnesses. Crime scene investigators collect fingerprints, blood samples, and DNA evidence while detectives analyze motive, opportunity, and suspect behavior. The medical examiner determines the cause of death through an autopsy, which becomes crucial evidence in court. The FBI may get involved if the murder involves crossing state lines, organized crime, or terrorism-related activity. Modern U.S. investigations rely heavily on forensic science, DNA profiling, digital tracking, CCTV footage, cell phone data, and ballistics testing all play a key role in solving homicide cases. Detectives interview friends, relatives, and witnesses to build a timeline of events leading up to the murder. Once enough evidence is gathered, the police arrest the suspect and hand over the case to state or federal prosecutors, depending on the nature of the crime. Now, let's talk about punishment. Every U.S. state has its own criminal code, but murder is universally considered a Class A felony, the highest possible category. In states that have abolished the death penalty, the maximum punishment is life imprisonment without parole. In death penalty states like Texas, Florida, and California, a first-degree murder conviction can lead to lethal injection or life in prison. Factors like aggravating circumstances, such as killing multiple victims, murdering a child, or killing a police officer, can elevate the punishment. However, mitigating factors like mental illness, self-defense, or lack of intent can sometimes reduce the sentence. The prosecution must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the accused intentionally caused the death of another person. Meanwhile, the defense can argue several points: defense, insanity, accidental death, or lack of sufficient evidence. If the killing occurred while protecting oneself or another from serious harm, it may be classified as justifiable homicide, which is not punishable by law. For example, if a person shoots an armed intruder inside their home, they might be protected under the stand your ground or castle doctrine laws, depending on the state. These laws allow individuals to use deadly force in self-defense without retreating. However, these cases are always closely examined to ensure the defense claim is legitimate. In the courtroom, murder trials are intense. The prosecution presents forensic evidence, witness testimony, and expert analysis. While the defense cross-examines and presents counter-arguments, juries must decide whether the killing was intentional, reckless, or accidental. Found guilty, the judge announces sentencing after reviewing reports, victim impact statements, and prior criminal history. Sometimes, the families of the victims are allowed to speak in court, expressing how the crime affected their lives. These emotional statements can influence sentencing decisions. In terms of statistics, the U.S. records thousands of murder cases every year, but the conviction rate depends on the quality of evidence and investigative work. The FBI's Uniform Crime Report (UCR) shows that the majority of homicides are solved within months due to advances in technology. Still, cold cases, murders unsolved for years, are handled by special investigative units that use modern forensic tools to reopen old files. Beyond punishment, the impact of murder extends far beyond the courtroom. Families of victims often live with emotional trauma for life, while offenders face complete loss of freedom and social identity. In many states, life imprisonment truly means spending the rest of one's life behind bars. No parole, no second chances. Death penalty cases undergo multiple appeals, ensuring that justice is served fairly and without error, but they can take years before final execution. Interestingly, in the American legal system, there are also felony murder rules, which mean that if a person is involved in committing another felony, like robbery or arson, and someone dies as a result, even accidentally, all participants can be charged with murder. So, for example, if two people rob a store and one of them shoots the clerk, both are guilty of murder, even if the second person never fired a weapon. This law ensures that criminals are held responsible for any death caused during their illegal actions. The justice system in the U.S. balances punishment with fairness. While the courts are strict on murder cases, they also focus on ensuring the accused gets a fair trial with legal representation. Defendants have the right to remain silent, the right to an attorney, and the right to appeal. The appeals process allows higher courts to review the fairness of a conviction or sentence, especially in death penalty cases. At the end of the day, murder law in the U.S. is designed around one core principle: the value of human life. The system aims to deliver justice not only to the victims, but also ensure that no innocent person is wrongfully punished. The consequences are lifelong. A single act of violence can destroy multiple lives, and that's why the law treats it as the most serious offense known to man. This is Law Crest USA, bringing you the truth behind the law. Stay tuned, subscribe and share, because understanding justice is the first step toward preventing crime.